guys. So we wanted to start this YouTube series only because a lot of people have been wanting to hear more about me, my backstory, how I started to where I am today. And I've been giving you guys those bits and pieces with some live videos on Instagram and trying to give some motivational background and everything else. But I guess to sum it up, this is going to be our first episode to this series. It's going to be a couple parts. It's going to take some time, but to get started here, way back when, on how I even got into fitness, just sports in general, a little bit of my background and my past and everything else. Even going into that, I was never very confident. I never knew what I was capable of. Not trying to talk about the sob story or whatever, but even further back when I was really young, I really want to say when shit hit the fan was about second, third grade and everything else. Even going into like kindergarten and stuff, I was thrown into like special needs classes. I had ADD, I had a speech impediment. My old man was a very old school kind of guy. He said children should be seen, not heard, so I was hit if I talked. So it, just hindered me with those developing those skills in a social environment, making me socially awkward. So from there, you develop some kind of insecurities and so on and so forth. And, as that time went on, things were getting worse. My parents were going to get a divorce. He was very abusive even towards my mother and everything else. I remember a lot of stuff. I remember throwing her around and this and that, being very scared. There's nothing I could do. I never felt strong enough. You always want to do the right thing, but if you hop in there, he's going to beat the shit out of you. Either way, I guess you're going to get the shit beat out of you. So, and he just kept like hounding those insecurities. I remember I'd come home from school. He would, just belittle me, bully. He would tell me I'm stupid. I'd get bad grades and so on and so forth. And you're not going to amount to shit. You can't do this. I've done this. I've done that. Like he was like trying to just bully and belittle. Very pathetic, but never really knowing what my self-worth was. And once I got to about the third grade, that's when the divorce got finalized and everything else. I was thrown into a lot of stuff. I remember, this is kind of fucked up, but I do remember the last fight my parents had before she actually left. She stabbed him with a Phillips screwdriver, and so I witnessed that, and I was this young boy. I didn't know what to do. I was hiding, and I was taken to court, and I had to testify against both of them, and all I remember is, well, I guess maybe luckily I couldn't really talk. I had like that speech thing going on. So, they asked me a bunch of questions on the stand, and I was completely quiet. I never said a word, not a word, and they kept trying, until finally, like, this kid's not gonna talk, you know what I mean? And I remember the school counselor, had to counsel and everything else, and they wanted to know what was going on over there, but I remember my old man saying, whatever happens on the farm stays on the farm. Very fucked up, which means it's a very fake bubble, it's very artificial. Why I like to make those videos today in present time, to show you guys, what the right thing is to do. Now, as time goes on, my mom, she wants custody of us and this and that, but we had to share it down the middle and stuff like that. My dad, he's not a very smart man, but at the time he can manipulate young kids, So we're not giving the evidence that the school needs to be able to be pulled out of that terrible home life. So we're continued to work all the time. Like we would go out in a blistering cold. I remember, we had a wood burning stove, and I'm maybe about 11 years old, I think, when I start running a chainsaw. And I remember trying to drive the tractor, and the clutch was so strong, I wasn't heavy enough yet, and I'd be pulling on the steering wheel trying to push this thing down. But he was so lazy and so addicted to alcohol, we were doing his work, even at such a young age. And we would cut so much wood, it'd be like, almost 8-hour days and stuff. And we'd split it by hand, we'd haul it. And I remember one time, like, he was actually being semi-nice that day. He's out there with us, me and my one brother, and he goes, if it's cold, let me know, we'll make a little fire or whatever. And we had to actually like put a turbo heater on the block of the tractor that day to get it started. It was so cold. I think it was under 10 degrees. But, we get pretty cold. And I'm like, around that 11-year-old age, we're like, oh, Dad, we're really cold, can you? And he goes, shut the fuck up, starts beating us, kicking us into the snow. He goes, move faster, you'll warm up. we learned real quick, okay, don't bitch, don't complain, work faster, So he would do stuff like that. And I'm telling you guys that because when we were doing that manual labor stuff, and I'll get to more of that, we were building a frame, we were getting stronger. He was also so cheap, he didn't really buy groceries. And when he did, it was like, I don't know, just junk food, garbage. He was always buying alcohol, But so we hunted, so we ate a ton of deer meat, a ton of fish. We had, our lake there is a 3/4 acre pond, so we had plenty of fish. And then we would have a garden, and it was a very big garden. It was, I think 40 by about 24 by 20, maybe 25, right around there. So it was pretty big. Either way, that's what we were eating all the time. And we were, by this asshole, accidentally being built into what we were or are today. And so eating all of that, working really hard, we were hauling wood all the time, all year round, and we would split it by hand. We never got a log splitter until later down the road we fixed one, and then we finally would use that. And then we had this long ass driveway. It was almost a mile long, and we would shovel 10 tons of gravel. He would not let us eat until we were done shoveling 10 tons of gravel into a wagon and unshoveling that and filling in potholes. So it would take us about 6 hours, I think, me and my brothers to do that. So we weren't allowed to eat. And then we learned that if we had a little spade shovel, we used coal shovels, which is a hell of a lot bigger. And we got stronger because we were like, hey, we can move more gravel faster if we use these giant coal shovels. So we started doing that and indeliberately getting stronger because we were accommodating for him and his needs, So we would do that and just various chores all the time, nonstop. So, this is going on for years, and I'm getting to about our 4th grade, start playing football and stuff. My mom, all my cousins and whatnot, play. So I go, but I was always very insecure at the beginning, so I was really, really insecure. I didn't know what I was capable of. I didn't really try, because in the back of my mind, my old man's chirping, oh, you suck, and he was always doing that. And then, if you come home and you're like, oh, well, I didn't have a very good practice. Well, you never practiced, that's why you suck. You should get out there and you should practice and kick us outside. And wouldn't tell us what to do. We had to figure it out, And we played baseball too during that time, so it was like a football, baseball thing. Started realizing a little bit. Now this, like I've said in other videos before, like my grandfather was my biggest influence. He was like a coach. And me playing baseball, I'm asking Grandpa, how can I hit better? How can I, hit further? And he goes, well, what I used to do was I used to toss up limestone and hit it with a stick, And he goes, I was number 4 batter for years on my baseball team because of it. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I started doing that. And then I became number 3, number 4 batter, and one of our leading hitters on the team pretty quick. And that was kind of like my first real taste of success. And that first real spark of influence that I had in a positive way from somebody. So I knew I'm going to always go to Grandpa for questions, because screw my dad, he's an asshole kind of thing. And I didn't say that at that age, but, during that time, I realized real quick, okay, this is the guy I want to go to if I have questions, because he's not going to answer them and everything. So I started to understand, okay, if I work on these little things, then this is going to get me better. And as time goes on, he remains to be very abusive and stuff too. But not to keep beating that horse, So I'm playing football. I'm still not confident on the football level, but baseball I got confident because now it's like I can hit, I can throw, I'm making all-stars and everything else there. And I'm progressing in that aspect. So I play football through pee-wees, micro midgets and all of that. And I do start and I do play and everything else, but I still don't realize what I'm capable of. I'm still really nonchalant about it, kind of unsure about myself, still trying to find myself where, other kids have their parents there and they're helping them. And I do give my mom a lot of credit. She's never missed a game. She's never missed any of that stuff. She was always there for us when it came to any sporting event or any one of our events. Now, as I get a little bit older, I start to realize how messed up that home life was. I never really got into the nitty-gritty with you guys. Maybe we'll make that another series down the road, but this is just a taste of it. But I'm going to friends' houses now, and I can't ever get rides. My dad would never take me. so I'd always have to find a ride if I ever wanted to go. And kids will always wonder, why doesn't Paul want to hang out with us? Well, he doesn't want to take me. And he's usually drunk, so he can't drive. But I would be at a friend's house and realize real quick that, wow, everybody's really nice. Wow, food's on the table like this and like that. I'm not saying we never had food on the table. We did eat at the table like a family and everything else. It was just a much different setting. And then like the wheels start turning upstairs where I'm just like, this is real. What I'm living isn't real. That's not how it should be. And then I really start questioning things all around me, and I start observing and learning more on how life is actually supposed to be, how a family is supposed to be, how your parents are supposed to react to it. And, it just leads on to realizing more and learning more about myself and my surroundings, and starting to build onto what I know and what I'm good at from there. And plus, those people being able to influence me from there. But I don't really want to bore you guys much longer. Just to sum it all up, starting from then to where we are right now, okay, in this story, more about like how I started to learn and started to grow even at such a young age. And I was forced to grow up so much faster because I'm doing grown-ass man work at, basically 6 years old, as I remember when I started hauling wood, but running chainsaws, tractors, and heavy equipment at 11 years old. It might even have been 10. But we're going to continue this next week, you guys. I'll pick up where I left off, and we're going to go on to that. I'll also explain how I started to find the weight room right about 5th and 6th grade, and we will go from there.